Yeah.
Okay,
Especially
so let's get into the movies. So the duet you guys have together is called "Rewrite the Stars," which your characters sing about wanting the world to be a more equal place in terms of gender, sexual orientation, just everything. Yeah. I know that you both come from musical backgrounds and have been involved in a lot of big musical numbers. In what way was this film different for you guys?
I think, I mean, there's a lot of things I could say to answer that question, but I think for me specifically, what drew me towards it is this forbidden love story. And I think what is so crazy and special and interesting about it is it's so relevant to now, when we still have people that are trying to tell us who we're supposed to love. And I think that, you know, in this situation, the characters are in a constant battle between mind and heart, and it would be easier not to love each other, but we feel this way, so what are we gonna do about it, you know? And that's much easier said than done, and thankfully these characters get a happy ending, but it's just that idea of pushing love first, and I think that's something really special about that.
Yeah, and we're born into a world of, you know, these kind of predetermined ways of thinking, when really, you know, everything starts with a thought, you know? And the way that our characters think in the movie is, I mean, their eyes are opened to this new idea that they can really lead with love and acceptance and embrace who they are and embrace the way they feel. And they overcome many, many obstacles to achieve their love, which is why I think that there's this kind of electric connection that they have. Yeah. And that ends up conquering everything, you know.
Yeah, and to your point, you know, you guys in the film come from two completely different backgrounds, and unfortunately, there's a similar kind of sentiment happening in the world today where it's frowned upon, but specifically with regard to the LGBT community. Did playing these characters give you any new insight or perspective into the inequality that so many still face today?
I mean, it's always been there. I mean, we've always been aware of it. I think overall,
that's why we told the story, because we knew that it exists.
Exactly, and I mean, our background, we grew up in musical theater. I think it's something that we've always known, and we were just excited to tell the story that embraces it and does tell it so uniquely and honestly.
Such an awesome film. And finally, you're both huge inspirations to so many, especially young people. Is there any advice you'd like to give those that are struggling with their identity or being outside of the quote-unquote norm?
Right. That's a, you know what? It's hard to answer those kind of questions because it's easier said than done. Like, I can say whatever I want, but it's hard to internalize and actually make it happen. But I think the number one, you know, thing, and I always hate to like bring it back to the movie, but "This Is Me" I think is such a powerful song, and listening to those lyrics, there's so many like lessons in there. But one of the huge things is, you know, she says, "I'm brave, I am bruised, I'm who I'm meant to be," but it's accepting those flaws, accepting those things that you are afraid for everyone to see, and just accepting exactly who you are, and not being afraid to say "this is me," not to be afraid of living in your truest form. And I think that that's something that, you know, these characters have to find. It's not given to them. So.
It's so much easier to say than it is to do that. Literally, it's something I deal with on a daily basis. Every day, I'm starting with the man in the mirror, you know, and working my way from there.
Right.
Exactly. MJ. And that's a huge message, I think. Like, I mean, just to get up and do press and do interviews, I mean, there's a certain amount of identity crisis you go through, and once you know, I have to meditate for a few minutes and really, you know, get a clear mind before I can come out and be able to share any sort of conversation about my art, really. But that's, you know, hopefully everyone can relate to that on some level, and just not be afraid to accept who they are and be proud. Be proud. Now more than ever, this is a time that we should celebrate each other and embrace one another and help your friends. I mean, like, we all gotta have each other's backs, especially this generation. We're all connected. We got phones now, like, that are like crazy. They got more technology than sent the first man into the moon in our pocket, just so we can communicate and help and lift each other up.
Just give someone a hug, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we get a hug? Can we get a hug?
Hug it out. Come on, group hug.
Thank you.